everybody, it's Nate here from the Vino Paraiso wine store, and here with another wine video for you. Today I wanted to talk about one of the benefits of going to a small wine shop where you have a knowledgeable staff that's friendly and there to help you versus shopping for wine at a grocery store. And so I kind of put together a little demonstration of what would happen if you go into a store, a wine shop, or a grocery store. And they're both going to be similar. So I have in front of me two wines, and they are both Malbecs, and they're both from Argentina. And as you can see from the glass, the wine looks essentially the same in the glass. And that's kind of what, when you walk into the store, you're looking for a wine, and you don't really have a lot to go on. If you haven't heard about the wines in the past, you don't have specifics of what you're looking for. So say you're going into the store, you're looking for a wine, and you want some help figuring out what to buy. So you go into the store, you see two wines that could be essentially the same. They got some nice labels on them, but that's not a lot to go off of to make a decision on whether or not that wine's going to be any good. So your next thing that's going to help you pick out a wine is there's usually some tasting notes that go along with it. But if you've read any tasting notes, you might find that that in and of itself is really, what does the tasting notes mean? It's harder to make a decision on. So, for example, this Tilia Malbec here, the notes on it says it's got aromas of black cherries, plums, accompanying notes of violets and vanilla. You know, what exactly does that mean? Is that enough to make you think, hey, you know, I want that wine? The palate is rich and full bodied with flavors of juicy blackberry, black currant, and followed by vanilla and sweet spice. So what I would take away from that notes is it's got a lot of cherries and blackberries, and the big thing that would come out to mind is rich and full body. So if I know I don't like rich and full body wines, it's probably not for me. If I do like rich full body wines, I'm going to be a little bit more interested. But the other items don't really differentiate it a lot. When we go to the second wine, it too has some tasty notes. This delivers pure aromas of blackberry licorice, bitter chocolate, and violet. This juicy, concentrated, polished wine shows a distinct medicinal reserve to its flavors of darkest berries, mocha, and bitter chocolate. The aftertaste is smooth and persistent with a serious coating of fine grated tannins. You know, between the two notes, they talk about a lot of the same things. Blackberries, black cherries, black fruit, dark fruit, tannins, full body. Things you expect out of a Malbec, but if you didn't know exactly what a Malbec was, what to expect, you wouldn't know. So just from the tasty notes alone, how do you know which wine you're going to choose? Well, another thing that might help you is a score, but everybody knows scores can be subjective, and they're good for a guide point, but they're not the end-all be-all, because some wines don't get ratings. For example, this wine, the Desero Malbec, it received 90 points. So maybe you're leaning towards, well, that one's 90 points, I'm going for that. Well, the Tilia Malbec here received 89 points. Well, that's only 1 point less. And a lot of you's like, well, 90 points is so much better than 89 points. But a lot of times an 89 point wine, it's right at that cusp, could be good, but not quite there for a 90. And because it doesn't have that 90 point score, it's going to be priced quite differently. And in a sense, you might be able to get a good value for an 89 point wine. So at the store, these are things that will probably be readily available to you if you're at a grocery store or at a small wine shop. And that's where things get a little bit tricky. So the last thing you're going to look for, or maybe not the last thing, but the next thing you'll look for is price. And at this one's $9. This is a $9 wine. And this is a $16 wine. So now you've got a lot of information. You've got kind of what the wines taste like. Sounds the same. The scores on the wines, they're pretty close. And now you got a price difference. $9, $16. One's almost twice as much. So this is where the difference between a wine shop and a grocery store is going to help you out. If you go into a grocery store, nobody's going to be there to help you make a decision. Maybe a clerk's going to point you in the right direction of where the wine aisle is, but that's probably it. So you go in there, you're thinking, well, maybe you like spending more money on wine because you think if you spend more money on wine, it's better. Maybe you think 16 bucks is out of your price range, you're going to go with the $9 wine. So you're not quite sure which one you're going to go with. But you go into a small wine shop like us, at Vino Paraiso, we're going to be there to assist you. So we might ask you questions to help you make your decision. Are you looking for a wine for everyday drinking? Are you looking for a wine to take to somebody's house that's having dinner? And those questions that you might ask would lead to different answers. So if you're torn between the two wines and you said, hey, I'm just looking for some good everyday drinking wine, we might follow up with the question, well, what do you usually spend on your everyday drinking wine? And if your budget's, $10 to $15 or $15 to $25, the answers could be different. We might steer you towards the $9 wine is a good drinking wine. Now, if you said, hey, I'm going to a friend's house and I want to bring a wine that's going to impress them, then we might lean you towards this wine. But the key is going to be how does it taste? And the wine shops that you're going to go shop at, they're going to taste the wines, they're going to know what they taste like, they're going to know the quality, and they're going to be able to recommend a better choice for you. So they're not just going to steer you in and say, hey, look, 16 bucks, go with that, it's a better deal. Maybe this one's better value for the price, and it's going to really show well and save a few bucks. So those are things you're not going to find at a grocery store. Most of the staff there probably hasn't tried the wines. They don't know. They're just going to say, that one has a better score, it's better. And that might not necessarily be the case. The last thing, this is really the last thing, is that when you come into our store, we offer tastings. And this is where you get to personally try the wines and see which one you like a little bit different. So, for example, if you came to our store, we would set these two wines out, maybe a few others, for you to try through and get a little sip of what you like and figure out which ones you don't like. And we would tell you, a little bit about the price points on them, the scores, the reviews. We'd also fill in with a little bit of knowledge. Like this one, the Tilia, is actually, there's a little tree on the label. And this wine is, the Tilia label means linden tree, and that's in Latin. Tilia is Latin for linden tree. And the linden tree is a traditional tree in the Mendoza area of Argentina where the wine is made. And they make, they make a herbal tea from it. And that herbal tea, they traditionally drink after a long day of working in the vineyard. So they named this wine after a tree that makes a tea that everybody drinks in the area. And it's kind of getting back to the roots and highlighting the heritage of the area. So that's the story behind this one. Now the Finca de Serra wine is a little bit different, and this comes from a family of winemakers that have been making wine for a long time, and they decided to do a vineyard in the Andes Mountains in Argentina. It's also in the Mendoza region, and it's called Finca de Serra, which means from scratch, and they wanted to build and establish a winery from scratch, and that's what they did. And the vineyard it comes from is called the Remolinos vineyard, and the Remolinos is these little dirt devils, little whirlwinds of dust that kick up, spin in a circle, and they help protect the grapes and keep them perfect throughout the time until they're ready to be picked and harvested. So, little wine shops can give you a little background on the wine, give you some tasting notes, they're going to help you with the price, help you with your selections, and then you're going to try some wine. So that's what I'm going to do here. First one I'm going to go with is the Tilia. And this is definitely a good Malbec. It's following along the lines of the characters that are on the tasting notes. It's a little bit more acidic than I'd expect, but for $9 it's probably a good wine. You'll probably be happy with an everyday wine like this. The next one I'll try here is the Finca de Serra. This one is similar, but it's a little bit more complex. It's got a little bit longer finish, and the tannins are pretty good, nice and firm. So, if I was going to rate the wines, I'm going to lean towards this one. I'm going to think this is a better wine. And this one is not a bad wine. It would be great for some everyday drinking. That's how I'd recommend it to you if you came to the store. The thing I would say about this wine is it's a exceptional value. This one for 16 bucks. Malbecs are a similar taste profile to Cabernet Franc or Cabernet Sauvignon, which is a very popular wine. But a Cab, because of its popularity, this quality of a wine would probably cost you about 30 bucks. So a $16 wine, this can deliver about a $30 Cab value. If you like Malbecs, I'd go with this one. Even if it's an everyday drinking wine, it's in your budget, 16 bucks is a great deal. If you're also looking for a nice wine that would go with a nice steak dinner that's kind of more expensive wine, this one too, it's not gonna let you down either, even though it's not your $50 wine. You don't have to go 50 bucks every time to have a good experience. So that there is just a little sampling of what would be the difference between shopping at a grocery store or shopping at a small wine shop. So hope you enjoyed our little show today, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers!